Okay, besties, I'm doing it. I met my younger self for coffee. We agreed to meet at 9:30 because, of course, we both still can't get up when Dad is vacuuming the house, even though it's been like 10 years since I've been back home to live full time. She was coming from Pivotal Fitness, and I was coming from Pilates. She pulled up in Pearl, and I pulled up in Quinn. We both laughed and said, "You still name all of your cars. Not much has changed there." I laughed as she ordered her drink, all sugared up, and honestly, I didn't want to spoil the alert that she will eventually become a so-called naturalist and mainly focus on honey and a little bit of cream because she will appreciate the smaller things in life, such as the authentic taste of decaf coffee. She looks at me with so much energy and says, "Girl, how have you been?" I quickly said, "First, I want to check in with you. That's the whole purpose of us being here." She said with her emotionally unavailable brain, quickly, she says, "I'm good. God has me. I'm living on a prayer. What about you?" I say, I've learned to accept things where they are and let people be who they need to be. I've grown to trust the discernment God has prevailed within my heart and life. And with that, it has allowed me to live with immense peace, freedom, and joy. She said, you've always been great with knowing your walk with God and truly have a relationship like no other with Him." I chuckled a little and said, "I wish more than ever that I knew Him like I do now, because I would not have lived with so much anxiety back then and trying to control a world that was uncontrollable." She asked me what the sticky thing on my phone was, and I showed her how far Apple products had come, because back then she was rocking the Blueberry, and now we have a full touchscreen FaceTime advancement. I also shared with her that I'm a full-time content creator and how the world of technology has evolved and how grateful I am to have continued my career in computer science and how far it has advanced me. She asked me what was my job now. I shared that in the course of 10 years, my job has turned from me being a people pleaser and code switcher to me embracing myself and standing true to what I believe. She asked me, how's the young girl who I used to pray for? I shared that I do not talk to her much because her mental health has worsened, but that I try to show my love in ways such as checking in on her, but not being the punching bag or the sister keeper that I once was. She proceeds to ask if I continue to go to the lady's house in downtown Greenville to help with the young girl who used to struggle and cry over doing her homework. And I said, that young girl is now 19 years old and is in college, and yes, I adopted her 9 years ago. She then said, is Dad still traveling 365 days out of the year? I gasped and said, oh my gosh, how times have changed. He not only still travels and did move to a whole nother state across the U.S., but also, unfortunately, him and Kedra, they lost Sophie and Jay, and they crossed the Rainbow Bridge earlier last year. So that was also another chapter in my young youth that now has closed now that I welcome a new chapter in my 30s. I did lighten the mood and share that I now welcome and am a dog mom to Sergeant and Ava Rose being a white and fun boxer, and Sergeant being the blessing that we never knew we needed, who blessed us at our doorstep at 2 weeks old, and he is now 6, and he's a bully, a blue bully. She said, how's Mom? Did she ever have her fairy tale wedding? I said, no. No one honestly can hold Mom down, but she did receive her fairy tale home, and she's living her best life per usual. We laughed, and she stared at me with quite some surprise. She said, wait, you're married now, and that ring, girl, oh my gosh. How was it, and did it end up being the Clemson grad that everyone just knew you would end up with? I said no. I chose someone who is certain about me and never once made me question my value. Someone who allows me to be me with no question, or apologies needed. Someone who has never shared that we're too much or that our demands are too big. She loves me and pours so much life and love into me, and she accepts me for me. I said, you'll grow to set heart boundaries for yourself and learn that through those boundaries, you'll grow to lose people, but most importantly, you'll gain so much within yourself. We sat in awe, and I looked at my coffee, and I said, wow. we've grown so much. She smiles with fluttery eyes and say, I see the life we painted out does carve out the way that we intended. I smirk and say there are some bumps and bruises along the way, but they are all bumps to guide us to the path God truly intends for us. So continue living freely. Continue that passion. Continue that purpose. Continue the faith. She says, you're proof, though, that we make it. I said, yes. We not only make it, we excel while making it. She gets up and gives me the biggest hug with the warmest presence and says, thank you. I smile back and I said, no, thank you. She walks away and says, let's do this again soon. And as she walks away, I think to myself, that final embrace we both shared, I needed that. Because now she continued through life and not overanalyze everything we talk about. I want her to embrace everything and experience everything that I did. I wouldn't change a single thing. Because without those experiences, we would not be where we are today. So here we are, whole, loved, and walking in divine alignment. No longer chasing validation, but standing firm in the truth of who we are and the tribe that uplifts us most. Every step we take is guided by God's perfect plan, preparing us for the doors meant to open in due time. But first, we must hold the keys with intention. Life is a game of discipline, boundaries, and desires, and we are the architects to this life. The more precise our blueprint, the clearer our vision, until one day we wake up living the dream we once only imagined.